Broadcasting all along the Civic Media Radio Network, it's the Matt McNeil Show, Halloween edition. Ooh, it's spooky and fun size. Hi, I'm Matt. Patrick is here with me as well. Patrick, I did not disappoint. This time, I actually did remember, as opposed to years in the past, I actually did remember to grab some of the Halloween trick-or-treat candy, brought it in for you. What do you think about the selection I've got there?
I love it. I actually forgot how much Mr. Goodbar is enjoyable.
Oh, I'd spoon with Mr. Goodbar all day long if you want to know the truth. No, Mr. Goodbar is a tasty one. Of course, I got you. I think I'm going to go out on a limb here. The one that's probably the stinker of the bunch I got you was the Milk Duds. Is that a fair assessment?
I have to admit, yes, that is the truth.
Sorry. Well, imagine you're a grown adult and you're disappointed. Can't wait for the kids' reaction. That's why I always get like 3 or 4 pieces of candy. I'm like, there you go. Just off you go.
Yeah, the deleted scene from that Peanut special was Charlie Brown saying, "I got a rock," and then another kid saying, "I got Milk Duds."
I would rather take the rock. How can you give me I'll trade the rock for the Milk Duds? There you go. Especially, well, tonight in at least here in the Twin Cities where we're based out of, it's going to be a fairly warm Halloween, as opposed to years gone by where you might as well have a rock. I mean, those Milk Duds are not going to be eaten anytime before Easter. Thank you for that. So spent the time, I did some carving of the pumpkins on Saturday night. I did a whole day of yard work, got the leaves up, feeling pretty good, got the pumpkins out, carved this one great one of ghosts, which I actually did put a post on social media about, and I hope you enjoyed it, because by the next day, those little rat bastard squirrels had taken out the ghost. Damn it. And I get it. Nature fans and animal fans. Isn't it wonderful that nature's splendor, those squirrels, yeah, I don't care. No. Wait until November 1st, for goodness sakes. There's a lot of work. It's a gourd. You have to clean out a gourd. Ugh. That is a lot of... Fine. So, yeah. I did carve because I needed another pumpkin now. I had to call an emergency one. So I got it's like a 27 pounder. That only took me about an hour to clean out. But I did, because I was running short on time and I needed to get one day, I went with the good old fashioned triangle eyes, triangle schnoz, grin with 3 teeth, AKA the West Virginia special. Sorry. Why am I being punchy already? Oh, West Virginia, you don't, well, actually you kind of do. But now, needless to say, I shouldn't be like that. Good luck with all that out there, West Virginia. We're rooting for you. Anyway, no, I'm ready to go. Have the kids there? I asked Brett this, and I think I asked you last year, and I forgot. Will you get many kids where you're trick or treating by you?
We might. It seems like we always guess wrong. If we don't think we're going to have a lot of kids, we're out of candy an hour in. If we think we're going to get a lot of kids, we're eating candy for the next 2 weeks.
Matt's pro tip. Plan on tons of kids, man, because the worst thing you have is candy. That's the worst thing you have. What kind of candy can we expect at the Patrick mansion today?
I will have to go back and check because I wasn't the one who bought it. But if I was handing them out, I would give out the Milky Ways.
No, the Milky Ways. All right. Now, are we talking about those? Basically, they're like Claritin pill now sized Milky Ways. What are we talking the mini ones, or is it decent size?
I would be giving out the good sized ones. I'm not a cheapie like that.
God. I was going to throw all the listeners that did get the cheap ones under the bus there, but letters and angry complaints to Patrick. No, I prefer. I mean, you can't find. Well, first of all, can I make this argument for the people out there? If you have not gotten your Halloween candy, I went to South Carolina. I was at the store. I had to go pick up a travel size something or other. I think it was shaving cream. I got to have those smooth legs. I was picking up one of those before I went over to the South Carolina, and I said to myself, I'm at a Target. I'd better go get candy now, because I have tried to come back. And as they are frantically trying to rip out the Halloween stuff on like the 27th, 28th of October and start putting up the freaking Christmas trees, Thanksgiving comes next, then I can get Christmas. I don't want to hear it. I don't want your 24-hour 365 radio station. I don't need it. Thanksgiving is a wonderful holiday that has just been absolutely freaking annihilated by Christmas, and it deserves better. I'm a big Thanksgiving fan. But it's even more obnoxious when, hey, look, it's Freddy Krueger and Santa. Boy, oh boy, The Nightmare Before Christmas. This is a dark version, isn't it? No, it's, you have to get your candy early. So I went in there, I found them. I have done that where it's like, I've got sweet tarts and what's this? Candy cigarettes. They still sell them. It's just they got a box of something back from the 70s in the back storage room. They'll just dust that off and put that out there. That's good enough. And I have kids that notice. Kids in my neighborhood, they notice. 952-946-6205. So I teased this on Friday. I'm going to share with you the freakiest haunted house room of all time. First of all, you walk in and My Dinner with Andre is playing. No. My Dinner with Andre is my go-to. All right. No, it has nothing to do with My Dinner with Andre. I was with the Ames JCs in Ames, Iowa, and we do a hunt. They did a haunted house every year, and it was a good haunted house. I mean, there was some good stuff in it, and they would what they had me do because of hello there. Is they tucked me up in the rafters of this building. I mean, this is like an outbuilding right off, I think it was US 30, right by Interstate 35. And they tucked me up in the rafters with a microphone, and you could not see me. I mean, I was up there. We kept trying. We'd turn out the lights. We had it set up. You could not see me lurking above you, which was, kind of creepy. I'm going to be the first to admit. But it was great because what would happen is you'd get this people that would come on in the line, and they would sit there and they'd go, oh, my God, Marsha. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, Marsha. Oh, my God. And I'd be like, okay, Marsha. And so I'd wait. I wouldn't say anything while they had mentioned it. Nothing at all. But then I'd wait a few seconds and I'd say, Marsha. And I occasionally would get a scream from the inner, right from the pancreas, all the way up. Oh, it was magnificent. Pretty standard haunted house setup here. I think like the first one was the operating room. Ooh, it's spooky. And here's the creepy kid room. But whoever designed the center room, because it wasn't scary per se, although it's scary, if you're going through it, it was going to scare you no matter what. It just freaked you the blank out. It was an octagon, and all the doors came in, and there wasn't really a handle to get back out. And there was one door in, one door out. The other 6 doors were either did not open or were dead ends. They covered everything with this kind of industrial aluminum foil. It was brilliant. I mean, it was everything. The doors, the door frames, everything. The roof, the floor had a shiny quality to it. And then we put a strobe light in there. And there was a warning. You couldn't go in there if you reacted to flashes, that you were able to avoid that room or not go in. That was the option. But if you went in, you go in with flashing. To add just a special little bit of love to this, we put a guy in an outfit wrapped with this metal stuff in the room. And when that light started flashing, you couldn't see him. You couldn't see the doors. You couldn't see anything. It was just this, where in the world? It was one of the most disjointed experiences I've ever experienced. I went in. I knew where the door was to get out, and I didn't have the dude with the stuff on there coming up in my face all the time. And it took me like 30 seconds to figure out how to get out of that room. And I knew how to. It was magnificent. And we had to actually create a place for someone to hold people up, because so many people were getting stuck in that room, and people were crying. We had a few people wet their pants. Great fun. Just a hoot. That was the biggest Oh my gosh, that was just magnificent. It was. Now, there was one slight problem for this, and I realized that this was not a good idea. We had the guy that was in that room, this outfit to make this stuff work. You know, he had a robe on that we kind of covered in this metal stuff. And then he had basically a dunce hat. That was how you wrap that stuff around, the metal stuff, so it was shiny. So he had a dunce hat on, and he had his robe on, and we were outside. And like I said, we were maybe a quarter mile from Interstate 35. So you had some of the reflective nature of the headlights from the highway, and we were standing outside the building. And I looked at his reflection on the building, and it surely looked like we had a Klan rally going on. I'm like, no. You cannot wear that out here. No. It's not that kind of haunted house, man. You know, no, it's no. But that room, my gosh, and the screams you would hear of people when they could not figure out how to get out of that room. I know I shouldn't be laughing, but it's Halloween and you put yourself in there. I don't go to haunted houses. Why? Because they're a haunted house. And it's not that I'm afraid of ghosts. It's just that I know that there's stuff like that in there. And no, I'm not. No, not going to happen. Yeah, that was good times. Good times. Hope you enjoy those fun sizes. I'll tell you what, we'll come on back. Got a lot of stuff to get to this hour. 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Over 98% of people who experience sexual harassment or sexual assault in the workplace choose not to report it. Whether it's the fear of retaliation, belief that a bystander will report it, or worry about career advancement, at MJSB Employment Justice, we help employees take a stand. I'm Bree Johnson, partner at MJSB Employment Justice, a 50% women-owned law firm. If you feel unsure what to do following sexual harassment, we will be your voice to speak your truth.
Be heard. You deserve better. Contact us today for a free consultation at mjsbjustice.com.
I'm John Peterson of Ferndale Market, and I'm the third generation to grow turkeys on our family farm in Cannon Falls. We've grown them the same way since 1939, free range and without antibiotics. We're proud of the way our turkey tastes naturally, so we never add fillers or basting solutions, just 100% pure turkey. And we're proud to remain an independent family farm. Looking for an extra special addition to this year's Thanksgiving feast? Our fresh, never frozen turkeys remove the hassle of thawing and can be picked up just days before your celebration. Available at natural food stores across the region. Reserve your fresh, free-range Thanksgiving turkey for pickup at our store right on our farm in scenic Cannon Falls or at one of our retail partners. For more information on finding our Ferndale Market Thanksgiving turkey near you, visit us at ferndalemarket.com. That's ferndalemarket.com. Thank you for your support of local foods and farmers. We'll hope to see you at Ferndale Market soon. ferndalemarket.com.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
I see you cold.
Yeah, it's evil and wrong to enjoy a haunted house room like that, but come on. That was actually thinking. And the greatest part about that was it had nothing really to do with the traditional scary stuff. It wasn't, the axe killer or something like that. It was, it wasn't the ghost. It was just a room of shiny metal with a strobe light in it. And it was just brutal. It was great. Broadcasting live on Double Radio 92.7 FM in Madison, WTTN 1580 AM in Columbus, on Bull Falls Radio WXCO 98.9 FM and 1230 AM in Wausau, locally grown radio WFHR 1320 AM and 97.5 FM Wisconsin Rapids, Stevens Point, and of course here on the flagship station on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota and Minneapolis, St. Paul. It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. I'll tell you what, let me start off with the tragedy that happened. We talked about it on Friday, and then the tragedy of this weekend, as it is, it was very disturbing to find out what happened to Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul. The U.S. Justice Department on Monday has charged a 42-year-old man accused of attacking U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, with assault and attempted kidnapping. The agency said in a statement on Monday, David Pappy was 42, is accused of breaking into Pelosi's residence early in the Friday, assaulting Paul Pelosi, 82, 2 counts he faces, carry up to 50 years in prison, the department has said. Police have not offered a motive on Friday's assault on Paul Pelosi, 82, who, according to his wife, wife's office underwent surgery for a skull fracture and injuries to his hands and right arm, though doctors expect him to make a full recovery. That incident stoked fears about political violence less than 2 weeks ahead of the midterm elections on November 8th that will decide control of the House of Representatives and the Senate, coming amid the most vitriolic and polarized U.S. political climate in decades. What was really disturbing about that was obviously the attack that happened was very disturbing. But it was what happened on Saturday morning, where on Saturday morning, it was hard to explain what I woke up to on social media. And I mean, I understand the whole Elon Musk thing and people feel entitled. No, we can be as bigoted and racist as we want to be. But my God, the amount of people putting out lie after lie after lie. I mean, people that had to, the second that story broke, went out with the mentality of, how do we make sure people never feel sorry for a Democrat that was attacked? And it's very mainstream. It's a very mainstream problem that we have. I mean, the New York Times actually this is the third highest ranking official in the U.S. government, and they put it below the fold. They themselves, I mean, it's that sort of dismissal of that kind of violence, but as well, it was also the kind of the idea that, why are we concerned about this one hammer attack? Like, it's, the same people who every single day scream about crime is rampant, and a crime actually happens to, the Speaker of the House's husband, then what happens is you basically, it was disturbing. And it's basically all designed so that they never have to feel any pity, remorse, or sorrow or sadness for a Democrat. And that's all the entire purpose is. And that is, you have to understand these people. These people, once again, and I said this a few weeks ago, and it's damn appropriate. Republicans don't want a leader. The Republicans want a bully. The Republicans want a bully. They want Sid from Toy Story. That's what they want. They want someone, whenever they see their enemy, takes them and puts their head and then gives them a swirly in the toilet. They think that that's leadership. They got, those are quality, characteristics and stuff. And the reality is that that's who they are. And part of that bully mantra is never feeling sorry for anyone else, is always feeling that the other side is inferior and bad. Well, it is just unbelievable what I woke up to on Saturday morning. And the fact that Elon Musk, oh, God, what an ass he is, isn't he? Some Republicans and their far-right allies are spreading wild conspiracy theories about the attack on Paul Pelosi, including baselessly claiming the assault involved a gay lover's sex quarrel. Paul Pelosi, 82, remains hospitalized with a skull fracture after an assailant attacked him with a hammer on Friday in the Pelosi San Francisco home. The man allegedly brought zip ties to the scene and asked, "Where's Nancy?" Police identified the suspect as David Pappy. They said there was nothing to suggest the two men knew each other. Police Chief William Scott and DePappy forced his way in the home and deliberately attacked Pelosi. This was not a random act. This was intentional. But that hasn't stopped lies from spreading around the attack. Royce White, the Republican candidate running to unseat Ilhan Omar, tweeted, that Pelosi's husband was assaulted during a gay lover sex quarrel. Representative Clay Higgins, Republican, Louisiana, tweeted then deleted a post that called Pelosi's attacker a male prostitute. There's no evidence to back up any of those claims. Senator Ted Cruz fanned the flames by sharing a post of a conservative influencer that said none of us will ever know for sure what happened during the attack, and it was absurd to paint a hippie nudist from Berkeley as a militant right-winger. The pappy, whose witness has described as shy and unstable, was once involved in a nudist activism, according to earlier news stories, but more recently online posts appear to belong to him include fantastical images along references to right-wing and conspiracy theories about voter fraud, secret pedophile rings. Police said that he had no fixed address, which was another one I got. I had in saying, here's his house in San Francisco. And it showed this house with rainbow flags and all this stuff. And it's like, does this look like a far-right conservative house? I said, wait a second here. He has no fixed address. Where do you get this from? I don't know. I just saw someone else post it. Some Democrats who have indeed blamed Republican rhetoric for the attack, I'll be raising my hand. Turning on right-wing media, or given a day or night, we'll see nothing but we'll see frothing hosts shrieking unspeakable lies and unfounded conspiracy theories about women, religious and ethnic minorities, city residents, young people, scores of other Americans, said Representative Bill Parcell, Democrat in New Jersey, that some are radicalized to commit unspeakable violence against their perceived enemies. Cannot be surprised. The terrorism is growing and threatens every community in America. The messages aren't just coming from politicians. Elon Musk, the new owner of Twitter, tweeted and then deleted a link to a story from a widely discredited website. It's some sort of far-right, we have one here in town. It's this far-right, fake news machine that just puts out right-wing, talking points. And they basically, he posted this. He's saying that Paul Pelosi met the attacker at the bar. There's a tiny possibility that there's more to the story than meets the eye, Musk said in a tweet responding to Hillary Clinton, who criticized Republicans for not condemning the attack. Musk hasn't explained why he deleted the tweet. Well, because he's an absolute jackass. By the way, that tweet thrilled the far-rightos. Thrilled them. Oh, he's doing what we thought he would. He's pushing Republicans' conspiracy theories. By the way, Twitter. Yeah, I think you and I are going to be breaking up here fairly soon. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Do yourself a favor and check out the amazing cuisine of eatlocalminnesota.com. More than just a website, eatlocalminnesota.com provides you with the best local and independently owned restaurants in the Twin Cities. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking cuisine, the Great Wall Chinese restaurant has been a local favorite since 1981. They offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include the sesame chicken, imperial beef, and Peking duck. The Great Wall restaurant is located off 45th and France, with takeout available too. More at greatwallrestaurant.us.
The next time you're out in South Minneapolis, make Nightingale off 26th and Lyndale your go-to dining option. It's a comfortable neighborhood restaurant that features a delicious menu of American classics, plus a wide drink and cocktail selection. Nightingale has dining room and bar seating available, plus takeout and delivery. Current hours are 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily with the full menu until midnight. More at nightingalempls.com.
Hey there, I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joseph Kirk.
And we are the hosts of Searching for Service. We would love for you to tune in this Sunday at 3 p.m. And we would be tuning into what, Joseph Kirk?
We will be having a conversation about Preschool for Success, learning about their program as well as what they've done in the past. We are so excited for this week's episode.
Tune in Sundays at 3 p.m. or anytime via podcasts. As a reminder, it's time to stop searching
and start serving.
Now that autumn is here, get your vehicle service done at Rudy Luther Toyota. Regardless of where you purchased your vehicle, Rudy Luther Toyota is your #1 destination for auto service and repair. For routine maintenance or a larger repair, easily schedule your appointment on their website, rudyluthertoyota.com. That's rudyluthertoyota.com. They fit with your schedule, they're fast and courteous, and they do the job right. I trust them. With the cooler weather, keep your vehicle running at its best with service from Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of downtown Minneapolis on 394.
This is New Beginnings, hosted by award-winning broadcaster and speaker Freddie Bell.
Freddie, this generation of the baby boomers, people are living longer, so the baby boomers are taking care of elderly parents.
Let's talk about your health, and specifically, let's talk about Medicare. Our show features the concerns of America's 78 million baby boomers in employment, finance, health and nutrition, and even entertainment.
Join us for New Beginnings, Saturday mornings at 11, brought to you in part by Vision Loss Resources.
Hello, Minneapolis. Make sense, make progress, make a date, make an appointment with me. Weeknights from 10 to midnight here on AM 950.
Hi, I'm Rachel Shamblat. My dad is Dr. Scott Shamblat from Shamblat Family Dentistry. A lot of people are afraid of the dentist, but you don't have to be. My dad makes going to the dentist comfortable and even fun. He won't be mad if you haven't seen a dentist in a long time. He just wants to take care of you and your teeth. If you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Sunshine this afternoon with a high of 66, then clear tonight with a low of 42. Hazel's Northeast offers the most creative comfort food you'll find for any meal of the day. Hazel's is located at 29th and Johnson in Minneapolis, minutes from 35W. More at hazelsne2go.com.
Broadcasting on the Civic Media Radio Network on your Halloween. It's the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. I gotta talk about, address a few things for Democrats here. But I did want to make sure really quickly before we're going to play some audio for you here in a second here. But I was interested in listening to the affirmative action arguments, the people that are arguing to get rid of affirmative action in admissions at colleges. It looks like, once again, guess what? You should have voted for Hillary. The 40 million registered Democrats that decided to sit out 2016. Guess what? That's going to be the end of affirmative action. Hey, elections have consequences. But sure, no. Hillary was just the same exact as Donald Trump. You're absolutely right. No, that's called sarcasm. And that you should have voted because, oh my God. People want to think that the affirmative action was started just because a bunch of leftist white people said we need to do something right. No, it wasn't that. It was we first of all had a system that overwhelmingly favored white population over the minority population, not just black, but all the minority population. That was basically an Archie Comics system that was used. The system itself was gauged to help white people out. But then on top of it, it was discovered you'd have a college get a straight A black student apply to the school, and they turn them down for a C- student because daddy's got money. And so we basically said you can't have the higher learning institutions of this country basically stepping on the throats of the minority population when the system itself is already skewed so far against them that even with this skewed system, when they come in and they excel, then they are not allowed to advance themselves because they were putting in policies that basically said we're not going to bring in minority students. That was the deal. They did it for women for many years. And even still, I think that we can go into the whole, the Title IX stuff, but for many years, that was the thing. And they discovered this and they said they were going to try to fix this. Well, God forbid we actually try to, make something right in this country because, Republicans, their whole mentality is and let's make sure we understand something. The entire mentality is we like being white people in power. We like having the wealth. We like having the power. concentrated in white America, and by God, we're not going to give that up, which is what the kind of basically the argument is. And the conservative Supreme Court justices are like, yay, tell us where to say yes on this. That's what you do. But once again, elections, yeah, they have consequences. You probably should have voted in 2016 when the absolute human incarnation of the worst of a swiping of a petri dish came to life in the form of Donald Trump. And you said, oh, he can't be that bad. Oh, how stupid were you? Oh, God, he was horrible. Horrible. 3 Supreme Court justices. 3. Will take us decades of voting to get over this. And we do need to vote. Needless to say, if you think I'm making this up, let's go ahead, Patrick. This is Jamal Bryant, Pastor Jamal Bryant. This is a fantastic 2-minute speech here. He's down in Georgia, and he's talking about, and he's very, very specifically talking to Black Georgians and Black Americans on what exactly Herschel Walker does represent. And I don't think you could have nailed this any better. My gosh, it gets very passionate, very heated, but he is a pastor. And so, go ahead. Take a listen to this right here on AM9, or on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, when the Republican Party of Georgia moved Herschel Walker from Texas to Georgia so that he could run for Senate, it's because change was taking too fast in the post-antebellum South. The state had been flipped blue, and there are some principalities that were not prepared for a Black man and a Jewish man to go to Senate at the exact same time. So they figured that they would delude us by picking somebody who they thought would in fact represent us better with a football than with a degree in philosophy. They thought we were so slow, that we were so stupid, that we would elect the lowest caricature of a stereotypical broken Black man, as opposed to somebody who is educated and erudite and focused. Y'all ain't ready for me today. Since Herschel Walker was 16 years old, white men been telling him what to do, telling him what school to go to, where to live, where to eat, where to buy a house, where to run, where to sit down, where to sleep, where to pay for abortions, where to buy a gun. And you think they not gonna tell him how to vote? In 2022, we don't need a walker, we need a runner. We need somebody who gonna run and tell the truth about January 6th. We need somebody who gonna run and push for the cancellation of student loan debts. We need somebody who gonna run and make the former president respond to a subpoena. We don't need a walker, we need somebody who will be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding, knowing that your labor is not in vain. Georgia, I need you to know the slave Negroes y'all are used to don't live here no more. We can think for ourselves, function for ourselves, and vote for ourselves. Why? Because we don't need a walker.
Wow. And by the way, that's actually I sometimes I wish the Democrats were as succinct as that. Yeah, he's a prop candidate. He's a prop candidate because the Republican Party, and if you saw this when we had Greg Palast come on out when we did the movie night, and his whole thing about what was going on in Georgia. What Georgia Republicans are this throwback to the white South, where we're the white people here, we'll tell you what you need to do, and it doesn't resonate anymore with their voters, and they know that. So they went out there, and as he said, they recruited him and moved him from Texas to Georgia so he could run in this race. And he's, and that is some honest preaching. But I do want to make sure. We've got a week and a day before Election Day. I had some friends that went and did some door knocking. I said, "Oh, where are you going? What district?" And they were going into what could basically be described as a slam dunk easy. DFL is going to win that district in a heartbeat. And I looked at him and said, why are you going there? And I said, well, we don't want to. No. Why are you going there? I am not saying the effort shouldn't be made. But basically going into a district where it's already a slam dunk, the DFL Democratic Party is going to win, is not exactly a good idea. You need to get out into these districts, the secondary and the tertiary suburban districts around the metro areas where the Democrats are out there fighting and really got tight races. Those are the districts. Because one of the great things about politics, which is very old school, is that if you knock on the doors, you're going to win. And that's just that simple. I mean, if you knock on all the doors in your district, you're going to win. You are going to win because your name recognition alone is going to carry you. So that's where you need to be. All your focus, you should not be, it was 12 days before the election or 10 days before the election, 10 days. And you're in a district, which, in the middle of the night, you could have, the Democrat win. It's a slam dunk. That is a waste of time. It's a waste of resources. It's a waste of volunteers. You need to get out into these districts. There was a get out the vote thing in downtown St. Paul this weekend. And I just sort of said, guys, it's great you're having a concert and it's all this stuff, but okay. Unless you're filling up buses in St. Paul and taking those volunteers out to these secondary and tertiary suburban districts and knocking on the doors out there where the real fight is, then all you're doing is you're patting yourselves on the back. Don't get me wrong. I imagine you put together some great mailing lists for the next few years. Great. Well, that's really kind of, helping out the cause here in this year. But you need to stop thinking about, well, we're going to go into the most liberal part of the state and we're going to have an event there and it's going to be great. No. You need to get, no. You need to get the heck out of Dodge, man. You need to get the heck out of Dodge and you need to get into these dogfight districts. And that is where you're going to get, but there are some people there that are MAGA. Yeah, there are. And they're out in that district knocking on every damn door. They are. Are you conceding? Are you quitting? Are your boo-boo feelings hurt? Get out there and freaking work. We've got to do this right. And sitting there and talking about how I'm going to go to the most liberal part of this state and knock on a door, well, I guess to a point it's fine. But now it's all hands on deck. We got 8 days. You need to get out there and you need to knock on every freaking door in the toss-up districts. I talked about Wisconsin 3. We got Minnesota 1. We got Minnesota 8. But Matt, those are MAGA guys. Get out there. They're out there door knocking. Dear Lord. It's great. You want to have a concert, but don't have a concert acting like you're doing anything if you're in the middle of the most freaking liberal part of the state. Use it as they say, tell you what, we're going to meet here at 10. We're going to load buses. You're going to go out there to these districts and in these secondary, tertiary districts. We're going to door knock out there, then come back here. We're going to have some free food and a concert afterwards. Great. Now that's great. That's a great idea. And that's getting some things done. But I mean, people will go to that concert, not once ever knock on a door, not once ever make a phone call, not once make a donation to a Democratic candidate, and they'll think, well, we did something. What'd you do? I went and sat and listened to some music at the state capitol. Well, you didn't really do anything. Also, there has been a rise in what I like to call the Democratic trap, which is it's a self-whataboutism that the Democrats pull. I've used the term Peruvian goats, and you're going to hear me occasionally use the term Peruvian goats. Peruvian goats is about the most ludicrous thing you could ever say. But, you would be surprised, depending on what the issue is. I will have Democrats coming out here. It's like, Matt, it's wonderful you're talking about voting and all, but when are you going to talk about Peruvian goats? Come on, Matt. When are you talking about the Peruvian goats? Come on, this is a crisis. When are we going to talk about the Peruvian goats? And the first thing that runs through your mind is, do the people of Peru even care about the goats? Are they armed? Do they got nuclear codes? What is there something large here I'm missing? No, it's just we need to think about the Peruvian goats. Really? You feel as if everything else in this country is going so well that you're going to focus on not just a secondary, not just a tertiary, not even a quadriary, but just some obscure thing and sit there and say, why isn't everybody paying attention to my issue? And you're like, what in the hell? And you see, Democrats have absolutely shot themselves in the foot over and over and over again in election cycles when they sit there and they start talking about issues. Now, I am going to say something here and people are going to be like, how dare you? No. I 100% feel that climate change should be a major issue. Pretty much every single Democrat I've had on the air with me, Wisconsin, Minnesota, they've all said the same thing, that climate change is a big problem. Great. The reality is, if climate change is your number one issue, you are not going to win this election. It's not. If climate change is your number one issue, you are going to lose this election. Republicans are going to scream you into oblivion with their we're going to scare you with crime crap. The reality is the Republicans have left the door open for the Democrats on two fronts. One, their horrific management of the pandemic, and two, their overturning of Roe v. Wade. And if you focus on those two issues, you'll win. And you'll say to yourself, but Matt, we're not talking about the issue I want to talk about. I said, I get it, because for God's sakes, I had a front row seat to the environmental problems that we have in this country this summer. But the reality is I want to win because I actually want to fix those problems. I don't want to lose talking about an issue which is just not resonating. More on this when I do return. It's the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950 and the Civic Media Radio Network.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad from Wisconsin's Minocqua Brewing Company, and our progressive beer is now available in Minneapolis. Yes, you Vikings can now buy Biden beer, Bernie Brew, AOC IPA, and Kamala, a strong vice presidential stout, without having to travel across the border. And the best news yet is that 5% of the proceeds of each beer you buy go to keeping Wisconsin blue.
Drink progressively with Minocqua Brewing. Get their progressive beers at Top Value Liquor in Columbia Heights and Falls Liquor in Minneapolis. Find other Twin Cities locations at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
It's an absolute must for any true foodie. Vinaigrette at 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis offers premium oils and vinegars for the most discriminating of tastes. This is Sarah Piepenberg, owner of Vinaigrette. We bottle on-site, there's no guesswork, and you get to taste test each and every oil and vinegar we offer. Our direct relationship with the growers ensures an uncompromised level of satisfaction. When you need to know you're cooking with the finest ingredients, first contact the independently owned Vinaigrette, 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis. Online at vinaigrettemn.com.
This is the Being Curious Show. I'm Brian Mariani, founder of No Shift Own.
And I'm Kelly Wagner, publisher of Edge Magazine. Our show is about curiously connecting teachers and seekers on a wide range of topics in a safe space.
And our intention is that these conversations spark your own curiosity that creates a life that totally lights you up.
We are on AM 950, Sundays at 2 p.m. and all podcast platforms. See you soon and stay curious.
You can't go through a day without hearing about healthcare reform. St. Paul Corner Drug is here to help you navigate the ever-changing healthcare landscape. We are your advocate in getting much-needed prescription medication covered under your insurance plan. Need to choose a different plan? There is no reason to feel like you are drowning in the system. St. Paul Corner Drug can make simple work out of finding you a plan that best suits your needs. You can rest assured at St. Paul Corner Drug, pharmacy the way it should be.
Broadcasting on Lake Air, WXCE 1260 in Amory, Air Support Radio 98.3 Oshkosh, 1100 AM and WISS in Berlin, as well as on WAUK 540 AM, 101 FM, the Shaw in Waukesha, Milwaukee, and of course the flagship station up here, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It is the Matt McNeil Show on your Halloween. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. No, I am not saying that climate change isn't important. My God, like I said, I spent the summer, part of my summer, going out to the west of the United States and seeing the climate change in live action as it was unfolding in a shockingly fast pace. It is really kind of weird to be around rock formations that have taken, a few million years to form, and yet now I'm seeing a process unfold in front of our eyes that's happened in 20, 30 years. It really is pretty remarkable. But there was a headline in one of the I think it was the Reformer that said, even as drought forces water cutbacks, climate gets short shrift in midterm election. Don't try to shame people into trying to talk about an issue. Let's just get the first thing out the door right now. If you vote Republican, climate change is not going to get addressed. Period. It's just not. Climate change is not going to get addressed. For God's sakes, they want to pour money back into coal and oil as fast as they can. That is just who they are. So it's clear the side that you want to vote for are the Democrats if you believe climate change needs to be addressed. Ta-da, done. It might bother you that it's not being talked about more. That's fine. But I want you to step away and ask yourself the following question, because it's going to fall into one of three categories. Your issue is going to be either A, an issue that definitely needs to be talked about because it's an issue that's going to carry Democrats to victory. Overturning of Roe v. Wade, the nightmarish handling of the pandemic by Republicans. Winner, the January 6th riots. These are issues which motivate people to vote Democrat. Those are what you run with. There's a lot of issues: mass transportation, affordable housing, feeding the hungry, that we can talk about. Climate change, which are definitive Democratic tent poles where they're trying to deal with these crises to our society. But the question you have to ask yourself is this: are we going to be able to put out a cohesive argument that's going to convince people to go and vote? Or is it just, you're not talking about it, I want you to talk about it more? Because it's great that you want to hear more. And in this day and age, you can go immerse yourself in whatever you want to online. But the reality is there a way for politicians to take that specific issue, which I'm not saying is not an important issue, but what I'm going to say is it an issue that can basically go up there and fight in the big boy ranks as far as issues go on an election cycle? Because the Republicans, as much as you want to criticize them, they do messaging so well. Every single one of them, politician, pundit, right-wing media outlets, all of them are all screaming the same exact message immediately. Like it's shocking how well coordinated their messaging is. And they're relentless and they're brutal and they give you no margin for error. They did the same thing back in 2014 with Ebola. And, the Democrats came out and was like, let's talk about this issue and let's talk about this issue. And they just screamed Ebola. And Democrats really didn't do that well that election cycle. They have handed the reason why they keep screaming. Why do they keep screaming abortion's not on the ballot this year? Why? Because they handed the issue to get them voted out of office en masse to the Democrats. And so when I hear people say, why aren't you talking about this issue? Because I want to freaking win. That's why. And it's not that your issue is not important. It's not that it's not a good issue. It's just that sitting there. And I mean, I remember a few years ago when they were talking about, paying off student loan debt. And even, and they're saying, you don't understand. Let me give you my 40-point, PowerPoint presentation on why this is going to be a successful program. And no one wanted to hear it. No one wanted to hear it. No one wanted to hear it. And it ended up being an issue that hurt you. By the way, the third category are the Peruvian goats. It's an issue which no one really cares about. No one should really care about. It only matters to you. And if you're actually suggesting politicians stop talking about issues that are going to win elections for themselves so they can appease you because with the Peruvian goats, for goodness sakes, stop it. You have to be able to take a step back and ask yourself, what's going to help us win and what's going to help us lose. And right now, it's three things. If you're a Democrat, you're talking about abortion, you're talking about women's rights, you're talking about the attempted overthrow of the U.S. government by Republicans, many of whom are still active in our governmental system, and the nightmarish handling of the pandemic by the Republicans. And it took Jensen in Minnesota, it took Jensen at that last governor's debate basically saying people didn't die of COVID, they died of ventilators, for people to realize, God, you guys were horrible at medical care. My God. What was that about bleach and putting horse dewormer up my backside? No. All these other issues, I'm not saying they don't have value, they don't have merit. Absolutely they do. But right now, you've got to win. And if you're just going to do what Democrats have done in the past, which is throw little pity parties for themselves because just you're doing more damage than good. You're doing more damage than good. Goes back to what I was talking about the last segment as well, which is don't go door knocking anymore in districts which are a easy layup for the Democrats. You need to get out into the toss-up districts. You need to get out into the Republican areas. You need to go knock on the doors out there because that's where this is going to get won. And sometimes I just get the impression that Democrats think they can go up in the most liberal street in the most liberal town in the part of the state, and they just go up and down that street and they'll say, we're doing something, and you're not. If you want to win, you need to get out of your comfort zone and put them on their heels. When they hear, what do you mean the Democrats are door knocking in this town? What? This was a plus 30 Republican town. What do you mean? Why are they here? Well, they're out here trying to spread their message. Because nothing will put them back on their heels faster than having to go into what they think is safe territory and having to defend themselves. What do you want to do? Do you want to win? Or is that one issue so important that unless they talk about that one issue, I'm going to sit there like that? Is that what you're going to do? Because you're the problem. You're not the solution at that point. Heck, you don't even know what my issues are. Well, you probably know actually a lot of my issues. But what issues get me voting? I know this, that even though my issues might not get talked about, I guarantee you I vote Democrat because there's no way on the planet if the Republicans get in office, any of my issues are going to get addressed. Nope, not in the least bit. All right? So have a nice Halloween. Drive safe. Watch out for the kiddos. Have a good time. All right? We'll be back here tomorrow for the Wisconsin folks that are heading out to the Civic Media Radio Network for Minneapolis, St. Paul. Hour 2 is up next.
Think your company's safe? Your staff is working from home, right? As I speak, cyber criminals are mounting attacks across the country. Remember, when we're weakest, cyber criminals attack. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Hey, Minnesota, it's your favorite sexy liberal. Join me and my fellow cohorts in liberal justice weekdays from 8 to 11 on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Jackie Quinn. Court papers reveal new details about the attacker, arrested after breaching the home of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and striking her husband with a hammer. Our Sagar Magani reports.
The documents say David DePape told police he planned to hold Nancy Pelosi and ask her questions. If she
caps that would show other members of Congress there were consequences. A former girlfriend told KGO TV DePape is mentally ill.
He thought he was Jesus. He was going to be paranoid.
He's facing state charges of attempted murder for attacking Paul Pelosi with a hammer and federal charges including attempted kidnapping. Police in Delphi, Indiana have arrested a 50-year-old drugstore worker, charging him in the killings of 2 teenage girls on a hiking trail 5 years ago. Liberty German's grandmother says the news didn't bring the relief that she had been hoping for.
We're all just kind of feeling our way and figuring out what our purpose is now.
The U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments today challenging affirmative action policies at 2 universities.
I've heard the word diversity quite a few times, and I don't have a clue what it means.
Justice Clarence Thomas and fellow conservatives questioned the program's value. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson said race is just one of 40 factors North Carolina considers. Sagar Magani, Washington.
A former Michigan police officer will have to stand trial for the shooting death of a black motorist. In April, they got into a scuffle over the officer's taser. President Biden will be raising the possibility of imposing a windfall tax on oil companies if they don't boost domestic production. His administration's trying to tamp down high fuel costs. Stocks ended lower today, but saw an overall gain for the month of October. This is October 31st, and that means this is AP News.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
If you're like most people, you've probably noticed your energy bills are going up and going up fast. Unfortunately, that's not likely to change anytime soon. So if high utility bills have you seeing red, see green instead by locking in an energy rate with All Energy Solar. Switching to All Energy Solar gives you peace of mind knowing your energy costs won't be rising along with fossil fuel costs. Solar panels last 25 to 30 years, giving you a good idea of where your energy is coming from for decades to come. Plus, a system from All Energy Solar could save you even more with net metering. With net metering, extra energy generated by your solar panels is sent back into the energy grid in exchange for credit on your electric bill. Those credits pay for your energy use on days when solar production is low or your electricity use is high. So declare your independence from the fossil fuel industry by switching to All Energy Solar. Get a free, no-obligation assessment from All Energy Solar by calling 800-620-3370 or visiting allenergysolar.com.
Attention, per the current government mandate, U.S.-based insurers are now required to cover at-home COVID testing kits with no out-of-pocket fees to you. If you have a current insurance plan, you are eligible to receive up to 8 COVID-19 tests shipped to you each month absolutely free, as long as the government mandate is in effect. Just visit testkitforfree.com to register now from the comfort of your own home. That's testkitforfree.com to receive your tests shipped to you at no cost. Go to testkitforfree.com today. Paid for by T. Euro Health.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Sunshine this afternoon with a high of 66, then clear tonight with a low of 42. Hazel's Northeast offers the most creative comfort food you'll find for any meal of the day. Hazel's is located at 29th and Johnson in Minneapolis, minutes from 35W. More at hazelsne2go.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour 2 of the show. Good to have you with us here on your Halloween Monday, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. By the way, if I can repeat what I said at the end of last hour, be careful out there. Watch for the kiddos. They start by going out. I mean, the real little kids are at 5 o'clock. They're going to be out there early. Keep an eye out for them. And then, of course, obviously, especially 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock hour, that's when you see most of it out there. So be careful and have a great and wonderful Halloween night. Michael Broadcorp is kind enough to join us. Michael, I'm going to let you know, we actually had 2 listeners say, when's Michael coming back on again? That doesn't happen to too many of my guests. People enjoy when you come on and visit with us here today.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm glad that my mother and my sister were able to call in and give you guys a voice of encouragement. That's
They are so nice. Of course,
Yes.
we should mention one of the first reasons we had you on, as of course Michael Broadcorp is a pundit. He's talked about politics. He has especially a keen eye on the Republican politics of the state of Minnesota, and of course he's an author. We had him on originally for the unbelievable story of The Girls Are Gone, that book. And let's take a quick moment. You guys had an anniversary on that, right?
Yeah, just had an anniversary of 4 years that have come out, and it rocketed back up the charts. It's the Girls Are Gone, the book I wrote with Allison Mann of 4 years ago that came out. It's remained on a couple Amazon bestseller lists. It's been in the generally in the top 10 on true crime, which is probably one of the most popular lists. And so very happy for the support, the encouragement that people shown to Allison and I for our writing, the work we did, and always to AM 950 for the opportunity to come on and promote about it. Matt, you've been so kind and generous with your time.
You came on and you forget how, I don't think you forgot. The listeners might have forgotten a little bit how crazy that story was. And every time we'd have you on, I'd be like, what? And I remember probably about 6 years ago, maybe five and a half years ago, I said, you need to write a book about this. I said, I think we're doing that. That's when you said it.
Yeah.
And it is a highly recommended book. If you're listening right now, go get The Girls Are Gone from Michael Broadcorp. It is unbelievable. It's just unbelievable as far as true crime stories go. You will not believe it. It is a page turner and just fantastic. And even 4 years on, a lot of people are resonating with it. When's the TV movie coming out on that one? Do you know?
TBD. There's a lot of things. So TBD. We'll see what happens.
Oh, I want to roll in that one.
All right. Thank you so much again.
My pleasure. The Girls Are Gone. Find it at Next Chapter Books, as well as also at your favorite bookstore, and head out there. I want to give you, the book is fantastic. Your political insight is absolutely spectacular as well. I'm going to give you credit on something you said when Scott Jensen started looking like he was going to become the number one contender for the Republican nomination. You said he is not going to be able to get past his unbelievable stances on the coronavirus and COVID during the pandemic. That's going to come back to haunt him. We just had that debate where he looked at the debater and said, it wasn't COVID that killed all these people. It was ventilators. It was a moment which, if there was a thought that he was going to be able to come back in the polls at that point, I think it was over, because even the moderator said, well, yeah, but they were on ventilators because they had COVID, and he just didn't want to believe it. It has not been talked about a lot because of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. But once again, his campaign crippling statements and mentality towards the pandemic has come back to haunt the Republican Party once again.
Correct. And I just want to point out that, as I'm frequently reminded when I'm not on the air, I ain't that smart. I just talk to smart people a lot of times. And, my analysis and commentary is built off of conversations that I have with people from a variety of circles. And, Jensen, there was concerns raised very early on. This was prior to Jensen being endorsed. This was before the governor's race on the endorsement side, on the Republican side, had really heated up. And there was a concern that if Jensen was the candidate, he would not stop talking about COVID. And I think the best example, and that's something that I tweeted out that I shared, and I think it showed itself in that last debate, where this was the final debate between Governor Walz and Scott Jensen. The last opportunity in a major way, I think, to impact what the public is going to hear about this debate, aside from paid television commercials and advertising and other things that's going on. And Jensen brought up in the debate around 5 times, brought up COVID and discussed it in some just bizarre way. And him going back to and discussing ventilators is just another example. This is a guy who's campaigning to be governor, who's taken a variety of positions on a number of kind of what I would say conspiracy theories and other things. But Jensen's position now is that ventilators were more dangerous to Minnesotans and the general public than the pandemic was. And I think it's just a moment in which you just have to kind of pause and just remember who he is as a candidate. And this is what people were concerned about. This is what's concerned that he has not been able to shake just talking about COVID. And let me just say this to you without any hesitation. How Governor Walz responded to the pandemic is absolutely fair and relevant to talk about. I would argue, and this is based on conversations that I've had with Republicans, is that if you look at polling, if you look at professional polling and media polling that's been done, the response to the pandemic or targeting Walz on COVID-19 is not an issue right now that voters are paying attention to. So when Scott Jensen walks into a debate and his last debate with the sitting governor, it's being broadcast live, and he goes back and talks about COVID, it doesn't reflect a good political strategy. It might reflect what he's comfortable with, but what he's comfortable with is really immaterial to what are the issues that are important to the voters. And again, a lot of what I've said about people to Jensen is that he's a candidate. It's kind of a round peg going in a square hole. I think some of the messaging from the governor about Jensen's kind of continually focusing on the problems of the past, I think was a good point that the governor made. And so, but Jensen is just a candidate, I think, who's kind of stuck in time. I also will say that, and I think I've talked about this on the air before, but Jensen, has been, his campaign is really about Jensen. Jensen is who he's focused on. They're selling T-shirts that said Jensen was right, that Dr. Fauci was wrong. He sold T-shirts, in his online shop, talking about, people being dangerous and, fighting back against COVID. So in his head, I think he's still kind of relitigating those COVID battles. And sometimes I think, you think you get past it, but it just takes a question by Mike Mulcahy, who I think did a fantastic job in that debate. And it just steered Jensen down an absolute rabbit hole of conspiracy theories that makes you realize just how out of the mainstream he is in both the medical community and as a candidate for governor.
And Walz is, you've got an experienced politician in Walz. And I mean, it's not, you're not running for a city council spot. And, Walz, I'm not saying this was political, but he did open the door for Walz to just do what he did, which is, I'm very sorry for the 13,000 Minnesotans, 13,000 plus Minnesotans who died and their families, and all my best there. I did, and you gave him, he took that opportunity to say, we made the decision we could. And like you said, I mean, if you really want to attack him on this, there's a way to do it that's not so stupid, which is don't go with the QAnon theories. Go with, hey, well, Florida stayed open. We should have stayed open. Kind of a, very base argument that if you really want to go down this path, you can. But Jensen just seems to, it's like you said, it's this guy that's trying to, he already realizes the game is over. And he's already starting to argue that pass that got intercepted, that he threw, well, that was still the right pass to throw at that point. And that's not winning the game. That's basically just trying to, pat down your own emotional feelings about the fact that you're not going to win this.
Yes. And a number of people who have said that a number of people I've spoken with have said that what they think Jensen is prepping himself for is not governing in any type of credible way, because by all accounts, and I think it's pretty fair to say that it's a real tough trajectory for him to win, if not nearly impossible. But that he's what is he thinking about next? I mean, this is someone who has, used his, when he was in the state Senate, he marketed a book and sold it and, had his campaign committee buy it. When he was a state senator, he wrote another book on this campaign. His campaign has been out there, schlepping his book, and he's been giving it out to donors if they make contributions. I think that this campaign has been vanity campaign based on Jensen fighting back on what he thinks is dings or misrepresentations or inaccurate representations of his record, mistakes that he's made. That's what I think this campaign is about. I don't think that Jensen has spent is prepared himself at all to lead the state should he win, nor do I think that his campaign is truly focused on what Minnesotans want to hear. I think in a debate, when Scott Jensen brings up COVID 5 times and answers and responds to a question in just the absolutely goofball way that he did, I think it shows you what's on the mind of the candidate. And on the mind of Scott Jensen, what he's interested in is relitigating his relationship with the medical community, his relationship with misinformation, and he's more interested in talking about where he thinks he was right than he is about leading the state.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that's what voters want right now.
You know, it's interesting, the money, and you and I both follow politics. You watch where the money is going, and there just has not been a lot of national money coming into that campaign. There has been some money put in, $750,000. You made the point, and this is, I think, 2 weeks ago when they started saying that they're going to put this money in. It's like, okay, this is a lot of airtime's already bought up. Second of all, B, that's not enough money to turn this. I mean, really, as you said, unless Walz stumbles somewhere and stumbles badly, I don't think this is going to turn around for Jensen. How much, just for the people out there, $750,000. I mean, it sounds like a lot of money when it comes to a political ad, a campaign for a state office. But the reality is it's not that much considering how many markets you have to get into, correct?
Correct. In order to dominate and drive one particular message, you need roughly $1 million. And that's just kind of simple math. 750. And so we're in the final weeks of the final, nearly the last 8 days of the campaign. You would have to spend a considerable amount of money. And I would venture to say, in order to move the dial, change the environment to actually help Jensen, you need to spend $4 to $5 million.
Mm-hmm.
And that is and even if you spend that, you're not in a position to, I think, necessarily win. When polling came out that showed him down, a KSTP Survey USA poll showed him down roughly 18 points to Walz. I spoke to a couple out-of-state pollsters that had done work in Minnesota but weren't currently working on the race. I told them, I said, look, if you were coming into a race, candidate was 18 points down, how much money do you think you would need to spend in order to make the race closer? And they said roughly $20 million. And the reality is that you're running out of time, and the amount of money that's coming in isn't going to impact the governor's race. What I think some of the money is actually being used for is to overall soften the environment for Republicans to win in other races and make the margins a little closer. And in essence, what they're trying to do is close the gap between Walz and Jensen, but not necessarily put Jensen in a position to win. Mm-hmm. Because if Scott Jensen is behind, if he loses the governor's race by, let's say, more than 5 points or more than 6 points, 7 points, you're getting into a situation where he's going to potentially drag down the rest of the ticket. And by all, I think, kind of fair analysis, this is going to be a good year for Republicans, both statewide and nationally. The question is, and it's something that I've raised a concern about consistently, is a candidate like Scott Jensen and and is a candidate like Kim Crockett putting Republicans in a position to maximize on the opportunity? And I just don't think that they are.
Mm-hmm. And let's bring up Kim Crockett. You actually came out and endorsed Steve Simon today, very public endorsement of this, because you'd also said, and back with the convention, is that this was a massive mistake, that the Republicans actually had a much better candidate. They went with Kim Crockett. She as well, once again, cannot get out of her own way, and has, and meanwhile, Steve Simon looks like he's, he looks like he's the best Secretary of State in the nation. And so, it's kind of one of those things where it's, I don't think the Democrats take it for granted, but it's a case where, you're going to have to, Kim Crockett's doing more damage to the Republican brand than helping at this point.
Correct. I've done something that I've never done before, which is endorse a Democrat for statewide office in a partisan office. I've never done it before. And I think Steve Simon's done a great job. And I articulated the reasons why in my blog post that I wrote on my website, michaelbroadclub.com. But one of the reasons I did so is because elections are about contrast. They are not held in a vacuum. And there are a number of great things I think that Steve Simon has done. And I articulated those on my blog. But what also drove me was the concerns I had with someone like Kim Crockett getting elected and what she would do. By all accounts, I think that Kim Crockett would make it harder to vote for certain groups in the state. I think that she has, extreme positions. I think she has questionable positions. I certainly would not trust her having any role in administering elections and having a role in overseeing the administration of elections. She is not someone that I would want to be involved in ensuring that there is confidence in the election system. I think that she is absolutely the purpose of her candidacy is to sow doubt and questions and to build and have a platform for misinformation about elections and what's going on. I think we've seen that consistently on the campaign, where she's been unable to answer how she thinks how past elections have gone out. And it's a national model. And, you know, even when I was a very partisan Republican, I was always appreciative of opportunities to sit across with Democrats and go to schools and talk to people about making sure that they voted. And I always want people to vote. I will tell you, for the first time, I think our democracy is really under threat by someone like Kim Crockett. And also, I will say, someone like Scott Jensen, who during this campaign season talked about how he wants to imprison Secretary of State Steve Simon. Just think about that for a moment. That's one of the messaging points that Scott Jensen talked about to Republican activists and Republican delegates. And when members of the media went up to him and asked him, "Did you really mean that?" He doubled down on it. And to have a Republican candidate for governor going out there and saying, "I'm going to imprison the DFL Secretary of State, the sitting Secretary of State, for whatever cockamamie reason they have," and then he's also supporting someone like Kim Crockett, who wants to fundamentally change the way Minnesotans vote in a way that I think will make it harder for certainly groups that need assistance in getting to the polls, assistance filling out ballots. Someone like Crockett, I think, is the wrong step. And I also will say the wrong person to ask the type of questions that I think a lot of people have about our election process. And I think Steve Simon has earned his endorsement, and in a very unique circumstance for me, I'm proud to say that publicly and do whatever I can to be helpful to him.
So this brings up and he is fantastic. And by the way, you and I both agree on this. I don't care what your party is. Go vote. I was a veteran. I'm a veteran. I was in the U.S. Army. The reason I was serving was because of the right we get to choose our own political leaders. Go out and vote. I don't care who you vote for. That's the important thing. That's the great thing about America. Now, that being said, you have on the statewide races, no Senate race this year, but you have two of the candidates on the Republican side are less than stellar. Two of them, the auditor candidate and the attorney general candidate, they're trying to get them in, even if, say, Walz wins. What do you remember what the number is? I mean, usually there's like a break number is like 7 points, that if Walz beats Jensen by 7, it becomes very difficult, even with a likable Republican down the ticket, to get that many people to switch sides and go to the other side on that. I don't remember what that number is, but it's like 7, 6, 7, 8, something like there. That if Walz is winning on election day by that much, it's going to be very difficult for the Republicans to pull off any of those seats, isn't it?
Yeah, here's what I think. I think that Republicans at least Republicans that I speak to are generally realists about the race. I think that what they would like is they would like the governor's race to be under 5 points. If it gets outside the universe of 5 points, particularly in this environment, it becomes difficult, I think, for there to be those same kind of pickup opportunities to happen. And so I would say right now, 5 points is kind of the number where I think it's kind of a make or break. I think there's a lot, and that's why I think the RGA money and this outside money that's coming in, I don't believe the intention is to get Jensen over the finish line. I think the intention is to soften up the environment so that Republicans are able to get down in the low single digits, because then if it's in the low single digits, then they have more opportunities down ballot, which I think they have this cycle. But that's why I think the RGA money and some of this outside money isn't really meant to propel Jensen over the finish line.
And I should mention, it's like, I mean, if I was looking to get Schultz in as the AG, you go into the suburbs and someone puts this mailer out, and no one I don't think has done this so far, is you can vote for Walz, but you can also vote for him. And it's a little bit of a betrayal of the party, but at the same time, if you're trying to get someone from on the lower side of the ticket in, that might be your best option, because right now I think Walz is doing very well in the secondary and tertiary suburbs, and that is a place that the Republicans have to pick up.
Yes, I would agree. I think that this is going to be a fight in the suburbs. Yep. That's why I think the endorsement of Donald Trump of both Jensen and Crockett was poorly timed.
Yes.
I think one of the things, Matt, I think it's fair to agree on this, I think, is that there is generally more intensity on the Republican side right now than the Democratic side. Now, that has changed throughout this cycle. In the Dobbs decision, there's been some intensity. I don't want to give the impression that people aren't fired up on the Democratic side, nor do I want to overstate the amount of energy on the Republican side. I just know from past experience that sometimes candidates on either side can be incredibly divisive, where they're a good turnout. They're a good turnout for the opposition. Michelle Bachmann was a perfect example. Republican activists loved to go out there and work to help do whatever Michelle Bachmann needed done for her race and other races. But when the Democrats heard that Michelle Bachmann was involved, it also motivated them. And the belief I have, particularly about the Trump endorsement, is what the Trump endorsement does is it gives the Democrats a huge advantage, and not a huge advantage, but it gives them a bolt of energy because now this Donald Trump has weighed into the race, given his stamp of approval to two candidates, and I don't think Jensen and Crockett really are in a position to really capitalize on the endorsements on the plus side. So I think in that sense, those the endorsement of Trump to both Jensen and Crockett at the end of the day probably mobilizes the Democrats more, because I think Trump is such a polarizing figure in American politics, certainly on the Democratic side, but even with Republicans, there's concern about his effectiveness and his ability to lead and govern this party, whether he's a candidate or not.
I will say this. I don't know if I agree necessarily the Republicans have the advantage. I think that Roe v. Wade being overturned really is a stickler. It's close, but I will say this. I know a lot of people who are kind of disturbed at the response that some people have put out there to Paul Pelosi's attack out in San Francisco on Friday. And I mean, it's got enough time here with it'll be interesting to see if that plays a role in this. Needless to say, we've got 8 days here. And if you want to stay on top of the politics, especially, with an especially keen mind, Michael Broadcorp is where you want to follow it, because he does have very good insights on a lot of the politics that are out there. MichaelBroadcorp.com. That's the webpage. If you're not following him on Twitter, you're just plain wrong. That's M Broadcorp. I'll link to all that stuff later. And of course, once again, The Girls Are Gone is a fantastic book. 4th anniversary of it, still on bestseller list. Find that book, get it. The Next Chapter Books, your favorite bookseller. It is a high recommendation. I love that book, and you will too, because it is one of the more bizarre stories you'll ever read, and it's true. Michael, as always, your input is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. Have a safe night and a wonderful Halloween to everyone. Please be safe.
Thank you very much. Michael Broadcorp, kind enough to join us here to talk politics. We'll take a break. Come on back. We've got more to get to. Tom Emmer kind of stepped into it on CBS this week, and we'll get into that. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
As we head into the holiday season, Crooner's Supper Club invites you to enjoy drinks, a delicious dinner, and live music from both big-name local and national artists in a wide array of styles. Before or after your show, check out the new Maggie's Lounge, a perfect spot to visit with friends. It's open Wednesdays through Sundays beginning at 4:30 with cocktails and light fare. And you don't need a ticket to enjoy the great atmosphere of Maggie's. Crooner's Supper Club off Moore Lake and Highway 65. A little piece of old school nightlife in the 21st century.
Hi, I'm Claire Ferreira, president and owner of Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Ever since my grandfather founded Standard over 90 years ago, word-of-mouth advertising and referrals from our customers have always been important. That's why, after serving over 500,000 customers, we're proud to have a 4.9-star average rating out of 5 on our online reviews. Check them out for yourself and find out more at standardheating.com. That's standardheating.com.
Standard Heating and Air Conditioning has some spectacular savings that are so good they'll scare you. Right now with Standard, you can save $1,500 or more on a new furnace and AC combo. Plus, save an additional $100 on a new UV light or electric air cleaner with purchase. And don't forget to ask about 0% financing and installing a water heater with your purchase. But don't delay, as these spooky savings are only good during October. Visit StandardHeating.com. Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, providing the comfort you deserve since 1930.
Hi, I'm Mary T. of the Mary T. family of companies. Our new Camellia Rose Assisted Living and Memory Care is a bold reimagining of what assisted living can be. Our emphasis is on creative meals, outdoor walking paths, and a spectrum of restorative therapies and activities. We are founded on a history of care. We are dedicated to enriching lives. Learn more about Camellia Rose Assisted Living and Memory Care by visiting marytinc.com.
Located just north of 50th in France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Stop by their Edina location or call for takeout at 952-927-4439. See the full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. I honestly, Broadcorp is going to be one of the few people I know that, I'm not saying he'll vote for Walz, but I don't think he'll vote for Jensen. I mean, he's one of the few Republicans I know left that actually, doesn't just go a party line. And I'm going to tell you right now, there are a lot of Republicans out there who are planning on voting. And I mean, there is clearly an advantage Democrats have had in early voting. But early voting is only a small percentage of the total vote. The vast majority of people vote on election day, and every Republican's going to show up. And even that guy that lives right down the street from me in the suburbs who sits there and says, I can't, I was for Trump and all, but gosh, January 6th, that changed everything. I'm not for him now. He's going to get in there and Trump. And he's going to come on out there because, once again, it's not about effective leadership. It's about they like the bullies. And that's why, I think that's one of the reasons why Steve Simon threatens the Republicans so much is he's absolutely the antithesis of the bully. He's actually one of those guys that's so laid back and so good at his job. And he's just so clean and it's just unbelievable how good he does. He is as Secretary of State. It's just unbelievable. And, I think that at the end of the day is where people, get upset about it with him. So 952-946-6205. I mentioned Michael Broadcourt brought it up. I mentioned at the top of the hour, the last hour as well. Be careful tonight. This one's kind of sad. An allegedly intoxicated woman driving the wrong way on interstate near Hudson, Wisconsin, killed a Twin Cities motorist in a crash. The collision happened about 12:30 a.m. Sunday morning. So, right after midnight on 94, roughly 4 miles east of the Minnesota border, according to the Wisconsin State Patrol. The motorist in jail, 31-year-old Amber Lee Prospisil of Alexandria, is being held on suspicion of homicide by intoxication use of a vehicle driving the wrong way on a divided highway. She is, as court record says, an address in Hudson, could be charged as soon as Monday. Second time in less than 2 years that she has been accused of causing a crash while under the influence of alcohol. The patrol identified the driver as Mark Philbrandt, 54 of Robbinsdale. Philbrandt was a guitarist for the death metal band Glorified and was driving back from performing at a show Saturday in Menominee. The group posted on Facebook page that obviously their extreme sadness about what exactly has happened here. We're very heartbroken to tell everyone the tragic news that our brother and our guitarist Mark passed away. The band's known as Red. Greg Philbrandt also noted the crash on Facebook and said he'd been clean for over 3 years. He's been living his dream playing in the band. If I can say this, it's now granted, it's a Monday, not generally the night people go on out and drinking. That was on Saturday night. And what happened Saturday, Sunday morning early, this is when that accident happened. Can I just sort of say there is absolutely zero freaking reason to drink and drive anymore, especially with the rise of Uber. For God's sakes, there's Ubers everywhere, man. I was like, my cousin lives up in the UP of Michigan. They got Ubers up there. There, really? Yeah, drive 40 miles. That's where I'll dispose your body. That's in the UP of Michigan. They got Ubers. If you're in Hudson, you have Uber options. You can take mass transportation. You can walk. For God's sakes, there's a bar pretty much within walking distance of everyone's house, for goodness sakes, in this day and age. You can walk. You can get a ride from a friend who's not drinking. You can take mass transportation. You can take a cab. You can take an Uber. There are just way too many reasons ways for you to get around and get your drink on that don't involve you jumping behind the freaking wheel of a car and driving into someone and killing them. And so, no, I have zero pity or sadness for this woman. I hope she goes to jail for a long time because, for God's sakes, in this day and age, how stupid could you be? But this is, it's something that it's unfortunately what we get a lot of now in this day and age. We get a lot of it, of, this drinking and driving still. I mean, every day it seems like there's another drinking and driving case, accident. Just, it's sad. And like I said, it's not like, I remember when they started someone, be the sober driver, it was always a hard sell. But nowadays, freaking with Uber and these Lyft and all these car services, you do not need to go drinking and driving. You can have someone pick you up at your house, take you to the bar, drink yourself into a happiness state, and then get a ride back home. Never once getting behind the wheel of a car. That's just drunken selfishness and just sad. So be careful. If you are going to have some fun tonight, be careful. Plan ahead. Make sure you say to yourself, no matter what, even if I'm going to have just one, I'm not planning on drinking, I'll just take it easy, make sure I'm not driving myself, and we'll be done. See? Simple. 952-946-6205. Let's take a break. Come on back. I got to get into Tom Emmer. I don't want to get into Tom Emmer. It's disturbing and dark in there. I gotta think about what I say before I say it sometimes. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
Hi, this is Laura, and I want to tell you about my family's favorite thing. It's our wood stove. We bought it about 14 years ago from Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. And see, the wood stove has actually paid for itself because we can keep the main area that we live in toasty warm with this great moist heat. But more important than saving money, it has actually improved our lives. Having a fire simplifies life. It provides comfort. It sort of takes the chill out of winter.
I'm Peter Solak. In 1977, I started Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, and I experienced the simple joy of warming myself by a fire. I also realized that the place and the way we embrace fire has evolved in a diversity of forms and styles. So at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we have brought together the widest selection of our fireplace products and technical knowledge in the Twin Cities. Our mission is to use our knowledge to help you choose the design and function that is right for you and your home.
Visit Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces today and find the right fire for you.
Hi, Matt McNeil for Rudy Luther Toyota. I've purchased my vehicles with Rudy Luther because I love my Toyota Sienna, but it's the extra things that make me a loyal Rudy Luther customer. A great example, the Luther Advantage Card. With every new and used vehicle purchase, you'll get 3 years of 10 cents off per gallon of gas at Holiday Station stores and $6 off the Works car washes. Plus, there are other great benefits too. The Luther Advantage Card keeps you happy in your Rudy Luther vehicle. Find out more at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Hi, my name is Frank Brown, owner of Minuteman Press Uptown. As the only minority-owned union printing company in Minnesota, I believe in giving back to the community and standing up for social justice. At Minuteman Press Uptown, we understand Black Lives Matter and know love is love. We're active in the Twin Cities fighting for racial, social, and economic justice. We believe our employees are vital to our success. That's why we pay above living wages with benefits.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Yes, we choose Minuteman Press Uptown because they share our progressive values. But what I've learned with my many years of working with Frank and his team is they are much more than just a print shop. They have helped us with creative marketing ideas and materials. The design team has helped us every step of the way in creating new material. They always come with fresh and unique ideas to help promote AM 950. Call Minuteman Press Uptown at 612-870-0777 or visit mpuptown.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Sunshine this afternoon with a high of 66, then clear tonight with a low of 42. Hazel's Northeast offers the most creative comfort food you'll find for any meal of the day. Hazel's is located at 29th and Johnson in Minneapolis, minutes from 35W. More at hazelsne2go.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Tom Emmer. Broadcourt brought up Michelle Bachmann. She was going, how bad Michelle Bachmann eventually got? She was going to lose a district you could put an R next to a turnip on and they would win. She was that bad, and the Democrats had a good candidate, and then all of a sudden I have decided that even though I said I was going to run before, I have done enough, and I don't want to go out as a loser. And so she quit. Tom Emmer, of course, then, slid on in there. He was confronted. Now, Tom Emmer, if you don't know, is actually the head, is it the RNCC, the Republican National and Congressional Committee? He's their main guy that's basically trying to make sure the Republicans win the House, right?
Yep, he's that guy.
Yeah. And he's the point person on this. And generally what it is, it's a relatively safe Republican that he doesn't need to campaign in his own district. Do better, 6. But, it's so that he can go and focus on all these other races. He decided to show up on CBS's Face the Nation on Sunday. And he was confronted. I don't think he was, I don't know what he thought he was going to go talk about, but he got confronted on two things. First of all, let's talk about the 2020 election beliefs. The chairman of the National Republican Congressional Committee denied he ever sowed doubts of his election, even though he signed an amicus brief to overturn the election results in favor of former President Donald Trump. He also deflected attention away from a tweet regarding Nancy Pelosi, and this one was one that was kind of unforgivable. The tweet in question shows Emmer firing a semi-automatic rifle, saying, "Enjoyed my exercising of my Second Amendment rights." Dude, you generally, you're kind of a crazed loon ball, if I can just say. If you're one of those people like, "My Second Amendment rights, look at me, bing, 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 I'm firing bullets." Kind of sicko, dude. I'm just gonna say it. I mean, seriously, I know a lot of people that have hunted. I have never once ever seen them ever post a video of them firing their weapon just to say Second Amendment rights, woo. What the hunters do is they'll show me, well, here's what I got this weekend, and I pretty much can figure out what happened. I don't need them to say, "Look at me, testosterone, I'm not compensating for anything with this gun." I have no idea what's going on. Allegedly. So here he is out there doing the gun thing. This was a visit to Arizona. So yeah, real Minnesota there. He also included the hashtag Fire Pelosi. Now, once again, he's firing off a gun and he says Fire Pelosi. What does he think that image is? I understand you namby-pamby liberals trying to find some sort of message in there. It's just nothing. He's firing a gun and he wants to replace Nancy Pelosi. No. You could just say Fire Pelosi without the gun stuff. You could do the gun stuff without the Fire Pelosi. You specifically put the two of those two together for a reason, didn't you there, Tommy boy? This was posted, by the way, 2 days before Paul Pelosi was seriously injured after being attacked with a hammer by a man who reportedly yelled, "Where's Nancy?" prior to the assault. Now we know wanted to actually kidnap the Speaker of the House and sounds like torture her. Yeah. The official motive has not been determined in the case of San Francisco police. The suspect reportedly has a history of posting about QAnon and right-wing conspiracy theories. Face the Nation's Margaret Brennan pushed Emmer on the rising extremism of political rhetoric and how is it in some cases leading to real-life threats and violence, questioning why would he post a video in which he's firing a gun along with the hashtag Fire Pelosi. Emmer, who's leading an effort to recapture the Republican majority in the House, responded by claiming it was just a tweet about something I had just done. Once again, you can post the video of you shooting the gun. You can post a tweet about Fire Pelosi. But you specifically put those two together there, Emmer. And this is where, and by the way, I want to make sure we understand something. Emmer just gets into lying mode. Tom Emmer just decided to lie. Here's where the lies start in. It's interesting, Margaret, that we're talking about this one a couple years back when Bernie Sanders supporters shot Steve Scalise. I never heard you or anyone else in the media trying to blame Democrats for that happening. What? What are you talking about? nonstop, 4 or 5 weeks. Every Democrat was involved. Every Democrat was, this is their fault. Democrats, even Bernie Sanders very quickly said, I condemn this is this, very quickly. This idea, he basically, his argument, and what he's doing is this. He knows he has said something that's really douchey, but that's Tom Emmer. When you think of Tom Emmer, think of douchey. Tom Emmer has done this. He knows he's bad. So what he's doing is he's lying to try to say, see, it's justified. Well, first of all, what you said happened didn't happen. You Republicans constantly screamed about Democrat this and Democrats this, and Obama needs to apologize and Hillary needs to apologize, and every Democrat ever needs to apologize in triplicate. That's what you guys were doing back then. So don't act as if we never once tried to accuse the Democrats of this. Now, I can ask the question why Steve Scalise is so cuddly-wuddly with the gun people still. Dear Lord, if I got shot, I don't know if I'd be necessarily saying, hey, let me tell you how much I love guns. You know, I don't think Jesus was a big fan of nails and wood. Let's just put it that way. I know. I'm Christian, bad Christian, sign of the cross. Please forgive me. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. That being said, I don't think I would be a big fan of the guns if someone shot me with one. Brennan then pushed back on Emmer, though, noting there was an extensive coverage of the 2017 event Emmer referred to. Sanders at the time denounced the act of violence, saying violence of any kind is unacceptable. Scalise was among them, practicing for a congressional baseball game when a 60-year-old lunatic opened fire on them, hitting Scalise and others. In response, if he denounces any form of attacks, Emmer says absolutely. You see, that's what he has to do. He's like, I condemn all attacks, but he basically wants to remove the fact that I don't remember Democrats in 2017 posting, I'm shooting at the fire range. Oh, fire Scalise. I don't remember that. I don't remember any Democrats saying, those guys are just out there playing baseball and they're trying to steal your democracy and they're trying to kill your wife and they're trying to take all your stuff and give it to black people and they're all doing that. And that's what they're doing. And there they are right over there. Aren't you going to do anything about them to stop them? Aren't you going to do anything to stop them? I got my gun video. Let me show my gun video. I don't remember any Democrat doing that. That's what you Republicans are constantly doing. You clearly are buttering that bread out there constantly saying, God, these Democrats need to be stopped at all costs. Here are your guns. Here are your guns. And then when someone does, it's like, where would you ever get the idea we would tolerate a violent attack? I don't know. Your own posts. There should be no attacks, period. There should be no violence in our society again. Whether it's political or otherwise, there's no place for that. He finally got around to the right answer after trying to squirm away from his own actions. Emmer was then asked about his efforts to raise questions over the integrity of America's elections, with Emmer at one point claiming he never sowed doubts about the 2020 election, and he's not an election denier. Brennan pointed out that Emmer was among the Republicans who signed the amicus brief from Texas asking the Supreme Court to overturn the 2020 election results in Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, which were won by Biden. All the amicus brief was that we needed to reaffirm the state legislatures had make their election laws so that we go forward. He said, denying that he ever doubted the election. The problem was the amicus brief argued that mail-in voting rules set forth in the 4 battleground states were unconstitutional. So he's trying to make the argument that we were only for states' rights when the entire point of the amicus brief was those states were wrong in allowing mail-in ballots and that this federal lawsuit was going to negate all those mail-in ballots and by doing so hand the presidency to Trump. It was never about states' rights. It was never about individual state integrity. It was about sore loser Republicans trying to throw out millions of votes so that Donald Trump could have won. So the fact that he's lying, that Tom Emmer is lying as much as he is to try to make the argument, I never said that. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. The lawsuit concerned only states which ultimately proved crucial in handing Biden the victory, not other states where mail-in voting was made easier for COVID-19. So once again, yeah, his problem was only in the states that Biden had won, where if they got all those votes thrown out, well, guess what? Well, then Trump would have won. It was the entire point of the amicus brief was not about reinforcing states' rights. It was about taking the rights of those states to determine who could vote and how they could vote away from them and throwing out millions of votes at the same time. That's what Tom Emmer was there. He was trying to overthrow the election. He was trying to throw out the election results. He was trying to basically install Trump as president. It was signed by 126 Republican House members. Besides Emmer, 2 other Minnesota GOP members, including Hagedorn and Stauber, also joined that list. Despite Emmer's protest to the contrary, the brief, which was described as one legal expert called by Sorbs as legally incoherent and factually untethered, represented a genuine attempt to overturn the 2020 election. Yeah, he's a kind of a horrible guy, isn't he? He is. And he lied. He basically lied, said, no one ever got upset when Steve Scalise was. We all were upset. And no one ever blamed the Democrats for that. Yes, you guys did. Constantly. But then come back and say, well, I never tried to overthrow the government in any capacity. What are you talking about? The amicus brief was basically to throw out the election so that you can install your buddy as president. Stop lying. Tom Emmer, stop lying, you disturbing catcher's mitt. 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. Penny, I'll get your call in a second. And then I got an interesting poll for Patrick. We'll see how smart Patrick is about food. All right, when we do return, it's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad from the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I sell Choice Hard Seltzer. Choice is an all-natural, 105-calorie grapefruit-flavored hard seltzer for those who believe that a woman's reproductive decisions should remain a private matter between her and her doctor. When you purchase Choice Hard Seltzer, 5% of the proceeds go to support reproductive rights organizations in Minnesota.
Drink progressively with Minocqua Brewing. Get their Choice Hard Seltzer at Top 10 Liquors locations in Roseville and Cottage Grove. Find other Twin Cities locations at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood restaurant in the Whittier neighborhood at 26th and Lindale. Nightingale has patio, dining room, and bar seating available. Plus, they still have takeout and delivery. Their menu has lots of delicious options like the famous Nightingale burger and fries, ginger tamari chicken wings, smoked chicken liver pate, and more. They're open from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily with their full menu until midnight. So make the friendly neighborhood Nightingale your go-to restaurant in South Minneapolis. Place an order, make a reservation, and more at nightingalempls.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. Penny is in Minneapolis, wanted to chime in. Welcome on in, Penny. No Penny. All right. 952-946. You okay in there? 952-946-6205 is the phone number. Did we lose Penny? Penny can call back.
Yeah, that was a producer made a mistake. That's why we lost Penny.
That's all right. But if she calls back, grab her. We'll try to put her back on the air here. Okay. General Mills owns a lot of brands, right? Totino's. The reason I know Totino's, Rose Totino, when Totino's pizza rolls, Rose Totino's was one of the big investors in my dad's company when he started his own company called Surgidyne. And Rose Totino was an investor. So that's why I know. Totino's was bought by General Mills. It is the latest General Mills brand, the latest one to top $1 billion in total sales. Latest one. Now, there are other ones. Now, this is the question for you, Patrick. Can you name how many of the other General Mills brands that have broken $1 billion in individual sales can you name?
I will answer that question after we get Penny back on the air.
Okay, is Penny here? Penny!
Yeah,
Penny.
I'm on.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. I got cut off. I wanted to say that it wasn't enough that McCarthy and Republicans condemned the violence. They needed to go after Fox and the internet that causes these people to think the lies, and then they get their guns out. Secondly, I listened to Ralph Nader driving to work today on your station, and he pointed out for years, if they would all just talk about raising the minimum wage, which hasn't been increased from $7.25 an hour since 2009, you would get Republicans, Democrats, and independents voting Democrat.
Penny, thank you very much. I think they've tried that in the past, and it has not worked. Yeah, I think this, like I said, it's stay with Roe v. Wade, stay with pandemic, stay with January 6th. That will be the issues there. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not important, and dear Lord, the minimum wage definitely needs to be increased. But it's don't get into the point where your idea that why aren't you talking about this issue makes you mad. The reality is the Republicans have given us the weapons to beat them this election cycle, and that's the case. All right, so General Mills brands that have broken $1 billion. Can you name them? Any
Pillsbury?
Pillsbury is one of them, yes.
It's kind of an out-of-the-box one. Annie's Homegrown?
No.
Okay. Let's see.
It's hard because if you don't know all the brands that General Mills has, it's going to be tough. One's a yogurt.
Is that Yoplait that they own?
Yoplait. They own Yoplait. So that's two. Granola bars. This one, I just gave it to you.
Nature Valley.
Yeah, Nature Valley's theirs too. One of the ice cream brands. This one is a little surprising. I can't believe this is over $1 billion.
I don't want to name an ice cream that trying to think of what they own and don't own, because I know it's obviously not Ben and Jerry's because that's not theirs.
Haagen-Dazs.
Haagen-Dazs, okay.
Cheerios by themselves. Not their cereal department, just Cheerios by themselves is over there. How about this one? I would have never gotten in a million years. Blue Buffalo, their pet food division, is over $1 billion in sales.
Wow.
Betty Crocker. Betty, oh, you sexy beast. Oh, Betty, love you.
I forgot Betty Crocker is its own food line. I kind of think of Betty Crocker as cookbooks and online recipes.
I think about Betty Crocker all the time, man. Hello there. Also, Old El Paso is theirs as well. That's within the brand name. So Totino's crossing that. Apparently, a quarter of the country has Totino's at least once a year. That's a lot of people. So interesting there. Have a wonderful and safe Halloween tonight. Trick or treat, enjoy, have a good time. We will be back here on a Tuesday. Until then, I should mention, got Devil Radio coming up next, Native Roots Radio on the 6th. Till tomorrow, see ya.
Warmer weather is here, and that means it's time for home improvement projects. If you're